Thank you very much. So yeah, as Jen mentioned, my name is Martin Bachmayer. I work for the Fraunhofer Institute, and I will explain in a couple of minutes what Fraunhofer actually does, in case you might not have heard that. I'm in part of a special role together with my brother in crime, Markus Schulz, who's sitting over there, to answer some questions again on product-specific things, because I'm not an engineer, I'm not down to technology, and still I try to sell what Fraunhofer does. Has anybody in this room heard of Fraunhofer before? Well, that's better than the average in the US, but I guess you're all German people, or you know, a lot of them. Okay, right. Because if I do this test from the UK westwards, the results are very poor, to say the least. So in Germany, Fraunhofer is kind of a high standard on technology. They're superior class engineers, but in the rest of the world, it's kind of a pity. So just some key facts. I'm going to run through this pretty quickly. We have 23,000 full-time engineers working on hardcore technology engineering. They're distributed across the country and even across the globe, divided in 67 distinct institutes where Fraunhofer is working, and with an overall budget right now of above 2 billion euros just on research, pure research. The interesting thing about Fraunhofer is we are so-called applied research institute, which means in comparison to CERN or MIT, which are more free research, it's applied. It's really down to what people want to buy, what people want to sell, and we try to make to happen what exactly the market requirements are. We are partly governmental funded, which has some consequences in our business terms, what we can and must not do, etc. So there's not everything allowed for us to do. And 1/3, let's say, is governmental funded, 1/3 is from industry telling us what to do, or we build something for them. So the likes of Siemens, Audi, Mercedes, etc. comes to us and says, build this piece of technology for us, and we license it out to Siemens as an example. And the last third, and this is where we come into play, is free research, where just smart engineers think about where we could make the world a better place. And we then try to have a look at this research products, prototypes, patents, whatever it is, and try to find the right market, the right business model, product position, etc. Here you can have a snapshot on where we are. So it's very German, European focused, but there are some subsidiaries across the globe which are, in some cases, maybe just one person, some cases an office, but the big laboratories, the big technology hub is always in Germany. And these are kind of the lead projects. I'm not going to talk about all of those because I'm not an expert, but you can see how broad the range is of what Fraunhofer is doing. So there's a lot around health and environment. We really have separate institutes just doing röntgen technology, environmental improvement of the world. We have a lot around safety, safety spanning from car technologies. As an example, we right now build this first prototype with Mercedes on a car moving on its own, stuff like that, in mobility and transport. We have big teams focusing on energy, raw materials, rare earth. So there's a couple of things here. And this institute where I come from, they're called IIS, which is called Institute for Integrated Circuits, is doing all around microelectronics. Everything to do with a chip, software is coming from there. And as an example how big the things are that Fraunhofer does, we invented MP3. So the institute, the house where I work on a day, does MP3 and did a good billions in licensing just with this technology alone. And you see how those brains work and what they can do, maybe for you as well. So the different models of engagement with you as a partner could be, you tell us what you want, maybe we can build it for you. We tell you what we have, maybe you have a need for that, or we discuss anything else. So we're absolutely open in having any discussions around what is possible in terms of working together. I'm allowed to stand here in this Bavarian corner, by the way, because I'm Austrian, so it's partly Bavarian. But I do qualify because I lived in Germany for 10 years, in Munich specifically. So I love that place, I love Bayern Munich. So I hope you're not getting me out of the building because I'm not German. So, right. Now give an example of what we could do, and let's start a video on that. To see what's in our institute around audio, video, camera technology, communication services, what is possible. We just made an interesting thing with Red Bull Media House that I want to show to you here, which is kind of state-of-the-art around camera technology. Just a small example that I'll show you in more detail how we take a prototype to a product then. Shall I push something or is it working? Oh. Can you go back one bigger? Sorry. That should be the second one.
Red
About, yeah. Ich klicke. Right. Fraunhofer Institute of Integrated Circuits builds the first HD cameras, the first 3D cameras, the lightest HD cameras available on the planet, and successfully made it happen that Eagles actually fly out this camera for productions like here with the Red Bull Media House. Pretty stunning. So you can see what we can do with cameras. The interesting thing why I showed you this video now is that I'm going to talk about a sports technology now that is based around a tracking technology, how to track sports athletes. And usually, most of the companies that work in tracking use video cameras for tracking players. And we said, okay, even though we can do this stuff, video tracking is not good enough for what we need in terms of precision. So we invented a different format, a different tracking technology. I'm going to show you another short video of that, and then I'll tell you how we bring this to the next level and what the new business model that I have on offer could look like in terms of technology.
Red Fur helps football coaches do their job better. It offers them immediate insight into any situation encountered during a match or training. Tiny transmitters embedded in kit and in the ball keep coaches up to speed with all that's happening on the pitch or training ground. This gives them a better understanding of their players' strengths and weaknesses.
So Jungs, jetzt haben wir hier die Ergebnisse von der Übung, die wir gerade eben gemacht haben. Und wie ihr wisst, haben wir sofort die Ergebnisse. Bei den Drehungen sind die Zeiten deutlich besser geworden, gerade in die rechte Schulter. Habt euch jetzt enorm verbessert, Andreas, sehr gut.
As a result, coaches can provide their squad with detailed feedback during training. Red Fur is especially useful for work on creating chances and finishing. It also helps analyze each player's movements, positioning or tackling, making it easy to spot areas for improvement. In the future, it'll be possible to track all the action as it happens using a tablet. In addition, crucial player data will be able to be collected for in-depth analysis. The viewing angle can be changed at the touch of a button. Red Fur allows coaches to fine-tune their team's defensive performance in a minimal amount of time. Players are able to learn new offensive tactics very quickly, or to perfect their zonal marking, for example. Red Fur brings a new level of efficiency to training. And used on match day, it boosts a side's chances of success. Coaches can deal with any issues on the spot. Red Fur data can be relayed in real time to TV stations or internet portals and used for live broadcasts. In this way, Red Fur enables media companies to produce a new form of sports coverage. For instance, information on ball and player speeds or a back four's performance can be directly presented in the form of superimposed graphics or captions. Viewers benefit from player statistics such as distance covered, passes played, time of possession or fitness levels. Red Fur makes football easier to keep track of for coaches, players and viewers, and so makes it even more exciting.
Right, we did a couple of years ago, that's the past, which is kind of boring because a couple of other people claim they can do the same thing, they can track precisely, etc. But To get to what this is right now, you can see this is copyright 2012, not that I sent you old material, just want to show you the evolution of what we did in the last 2 years and where this whole thing is going. So this is what Fraunhofer can do today in terms of precise tracking. You use those chips, they are real, they're used for real soccer clubs in Europe right now, in Germany. You can place it in even into your shoes, you can have both shoes tracked, whatever you want, and it tracks down to precision of 1 inch, which is amazing in real time, so just a microsecond delay, and it even can be tracking the puck or the ball with, I don't know, 150 miles per hour or something. Nobody else can do that, but what do we do with that? There's a scalable market somehow. How can we address soccer clubs? How can we go to ice hockey, football? And if we sell it to every club in the world, is this then a good business model? And the answer is no, because it's just selling hardware. This never scales. You have some material costs. And we from the business side said, even though this is superior technology, it's not good enough to really make it work for a company, to sell it to the market, etc. What are we going to do now? And we created a new business model around this tracking core element, which we then called them Jogmo. That's just a code name, but it's a good name that works for everybody, and I'm going to explain to you how the evolution of tracking into Jogmo then worked for us and what we can do with that. So Jogmo has a couple of different angles, a couple of different products. I'm going to talk about the professional product alone, because this is around the sports thing that we discussed today. It has some connection to what we heard about Bayern Munich. And by the way, some statistical elements from this technology have been used during World Cup successfully together with a partner, SAP. So this has legs, this is real. It doesn't say it made the German team win the World Cup, but at least it didn't hinder it, so it's okay. So Jogmo has a couple of key elements in there. So I talked about the tracking thing, and this is just one element. We need some server technology. We need a camera system. That's what the market told us, to have combinations with video pictures. We need a vital shirt. This is where it's getting physical, where it is all wearable electronics make sense to really track what's going on. We still need a tag, but it might look different in the real product phase. And maybe the most important thing is the output. What do we get with all the data, the application? And maybe there's different target audiences that we can go to with this whole technology. So let me talk about the tracking first. This still is what it was, but maybe brought to the next generation in terms of it's more lean, more elegant. It can be used indoor and outdoor. There have been restrictions before. It can be applied to all sports. The tag will be smaller. The precision will be of the same excellence that we had before. So we can still track on a very, very high level. We don't want to lose that because that was kind of the core competence of the product as we had it before. So that's element number one. The next element we want to add here to make this a real product that can be used for a variety of target audiences is what we now call the vital shirt. So that is a real product. I'm not going to wear this because the result will be inferior in terms of my fitness, but nevertheless, that's not a prototype. That's something that is not available, somewhere in between. It's called Zero Series, kind of. What this can do is it has real heart rate detection in a precision which is almost like an ECG. This has never been done before, so it's not around just telling you my pulse is 100. It can tell you way more around your peaks and how that works. I'm not a doctor, a physician, or a sports expert, but if you talk to those guys, they tell you it's stunning. It can give you your lung aspiration rate, stuff like that, and altogether can then be connected directly to the same overall Jogmo tracking system where it is and send out data in real time to everybody who needs it. Might be a coach, might be a doctor, might be some medical staff who say, okay, how is his fitness condition, what's going on? This has, of course, different angles in terms of consumer business moving forward, but I'm not going to touch this. I just want to say there's a second element in this professional business model. We have tracking, and we have the best-in-class vital shirt technology that's not available so far. So next is then the camera technology, and I would love to show this in more detail, but it doesn't take too much time. What it does is it tracks the entire stadium, soccer pitch, ice hockey, whatever you want, the arena, with a couple of cameras that are stitched together. Now, stitching cameras is something that's not common, but it's not the biggest thing on earth. Some other companies can do that. But the way this works here is absolutely stunning because it records the whole match, the whole training, whatever you want. And then, either in real time during you do it, or later on, you can move around virtually and zoom in wherever you want. Now, think of the combination here, and this is where we got creative in the team, around having a tracking technology, which is real time, and a video technology that tracks everything, and you can move around with your camera. what this allows you to do is a couple of interesting output formats. On the one side, for the trainer, he can say, I just click on Bastian Schweinsteiger, I get the Schweinsteiger cam, without the cameras changing at all. If I then go to Philipp Lahm and want to see what he's doing, I can have a Philipp Lahm camera. And we're getting to an interesting part of this is not only possible for trainers at the pitch, this is also possible for consumers at home. And this is when the business model gets interesting if there's some consumer element there. So this camera allows you to track everything in terms of video, and after then decide what you want to see, how you want to see it, change angles, etc. So we have three interesting elements here, and the latest one being a huge big data thing, because we create so much data that it's enormous. As an example, the tracking alone gives you 15,000 hertz per second, and if you multiply this with 90 minutes, the amount of data goes into hundreds of billion data points for one match or one training only, plus 10 4K cameras, 90 minutes running, you get to terabytes during one match, which is good because it's a lot of information, which is bad because how do we get to the pieces I'm interested in? So you need a lot of data mining processes here to make this a serious product. And we divide this in different target audiences. One is for club usage, there will be a different output format, then for media, how they can use, and for consumers. So first of all, what does a trainer get out of that? He might have an app, so that's something we created, how this could look like, but the technology in the background is working. We just maybe need some seeding, some funding to get this whole thing going, so that's a real maybe pitch for money here, because we want to create this international business model. And he can then choose the trainer, okay, these are my things. If I enter my credentials on the pitch, I want to go to match mode and see maybe the next 3 matches, and archive, create a new match, and then I go into, okay, the next 3 matches where I'm going to play my ice hockey team. This is something which is pretty common, but then it gets interesting, because if I can go to a player level, I have all of the information I created during training, during matches, during maybe the archives I can all collect in with historical data, and get to an individual player view, which is all the data that is possible on Earth, and say, okay, I have all of this aspiration rates, performance cards, and the heat map, where he was on the pitch. I can actually see what my guys did, how they perform next to each other, how the impact of individual players were in comparison with each other. So there's a lot of thought process that we can put behind it and optimize the stuff, but we read it in a very good way. Now the things that are pretty superior is, with the combination of the cameras and the vital shirt, we have some more information available. We can then switch to a certain player and say, okay, give me his personal cam, either live, real time, or maybe later in a replay and discuss with him what he could have done better, how he performed, etc. The next thing is we could add, and we're in discussions with this, with a big video games company who wants to work with us, around, okay, we can do 3D animation around that you see in the first video with the soccer players. We can do this for ice hockey, for football, etc. Now it gets interesting, we could do what-if things and place players in a different pattern and have them run around in a different way, or look through the eyes of a player what he has seen in real time. So that is something that's very interesting for us. And then, of course, there's the media output, which is something a couple of other companies can do. I just want to say we can do it as well, so there's nothing missing here in terms of, I don't know, the lines in football or the offside line in soccer. Do this augmented reality stuff. I think it's cool, but some others can do it. We can add it into the whole exercise here. The thing where it gets funny from my point of view is if we then talk about something you won't allow me to talk about, oh, you do, which is the consumer element. So our fantasy was to create a business model. I'm a pure businessman. How can we monetize the thing? And the idea is, if I have this incredible data, where a player is, what he's actually doing, the video, maybe the vital shirt, there's some legal elements around it, I can do stuff like that. I can sit on my couch with a second screen application, watch a game in real time. At the same time, I switch to player A, my wife switches to player B, and we have a different experience at the same time and see something that other people can't see because I pay $5 per month to ESPN. Right? So you see where this is going. This certainly has scalability effects which are super interesting. So you can get, with this technology, once installed in Stadium, a consumer experience that is unique at home. The other thing is, right now we know that our friends from Cisco and some other people create huge Wi-Fi environments and make a huge effort to get technology into the stadium. And nobody really knows what to do with that, aside of ordering popcorn or beer or whatever. So there's not a real use case. With that, there is. Because you can then have sponsored by somebody, whoever likes it, the team sponsor, the stadium sponsor, whoever sponsor that pays me money as a business owner, say, okay, I can stand in the stadium with my phone or with my iPad and have some experience. I can have augmented data on that in real time during the matches going on. I can have then selected player cams. I can zoom into the match like this in real time and see what's going on. If you think about that when going home, it is interesting. We feel it's very interesting, and there's a lot of interest from totally different parts in the market. It's technology providers, it's brand sponsors, it's league owners, it's media houses, etc. So I right now work together with Markus Schulz, who is the expert not on sports but on media, on entertainment, and knows how this whole industry works together. So Markus, stand up in case somebody wants to talk to you. Yeah, here he is, Markus Schulz. So he knows where this market is going. I know how to do business somehow with my heritage that you can Google. Together we try to create something. And that was an example how we work and how we try to get from, okay, that's a possible technology, it tracks very well. We can sell it to clubs to make this a real business model in certain stages to, okay, that's the output for media, that's the output for trainers, that's the output for consumers. That's a business model that scales and make this a real product, a real offering. But we're now looking for investors, an example, to make this a global thing, because we feel we have to maybe not start in the US, but be in the US very soon. The US market is sport data savvy, so they have a lot of interest and appetite for sports data, even more than the Germans maybe have. They want to have a clear picture and be left alone with their friends and watch soccer games, and that's different. But for the US market, it could be an interesting start. And so we're looking for the right entrance into this market. Days, or when you want to get in touch, what we as Fraunhofer could do for you, if you have certain requirements, tell us. We can maybe build it for you, or maybe we have it already and don't know that it exists. So we can pull some draws and give you something. The other thing may be that you have interest in that specific technology, either as an investor or you have some context that could be helpful. I'm happy to do that. And every other discussion, more than welcome. We'll be around for a couple of more hours. And I think I'm spot on and made up some time that he lost before, so that should be fun, I think. Thank you. Any questions on that, or I'm already muted?